Greetings. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host, and this is Lake County Community Forum. Ladies and gentlemen, each year the President of the United States designates the month of March as Women's History Month, and a proclamation is normally issued encouraging agencies to recognize the contributions that women have made to this nation. To this evening, we have with us Mrs. Holly Kim. She's the Lake County Treasurer. Greetings, Holly.
Hello. Hi, Dr. Waddell. Great to
Okay,
be here.
we're very happy that you've taken time from your busy schedule to be with us on Lake County Community Forum. If you have not been known all over the country, you will, all over the world, really, you will after this program. You are truly a professional person, you're a family person, and we felt that Lake County should know who you are. Tell our listening audience a little bit about your personal and professional background.
Sure. How much time do I have to talk about my background?
2 minutes.
Hey, all right, then I'll get. So my name's Holly Kim. I am the current Lake County Treasurer of Lake County, Illinois. My background heritage, I am Korean American, but I also speak Spanish as well. So I'm the first Spanish-speaking treasurer in Lake County.
Mhm.
I started in 2018 on a platform of my background being IT and management. And so I was going to go in, shake things up, modernize. In my background, my job was to be a disruptor. And basically, you go in and you look at process data and figure out better ways to do things. And I think we were just overdue for doing that in government. So that's putting it simply. After I got here, there's a lot of changes that have been made in just the 2 years that I've been here. A little bit we're going to talk about later is our Fiscally Fit program and community outreach in general. I did notice that people talk about the tax bill all the time and Lake County taxes, but you never see anyone at the senior fairs. You never see anyone on Facebook answering questions. And so a big thrust of my participation was that we were going to be out in the community with the people. And that's actually why we're on the show, right? We're being out there where the people are.
Right.
We've made some investment changes. I've actually passed with the state rep and the state senators and JB Pritzker a reduction in mobile home tax penalties. And this year during COVID, it was hardship and we passed the 4 payment option. We did a lot of software coding in 19 days to make that happen. So, oh man, it's been quite a blur these 2 years, but I'm excited to be here on the show with you today.
Well, Kim, I spent 16 months in Korea, as a matter of fact, exactly, Busan, in Korea, and had to make quite an adjustment. But tell us about the challenges that you found in adapting to the culture of the United States.
Oh, in the office or in the United States?
The United States.
Yeah.
Another 2 minutes.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I, as a second generation immigrant, my parents came here to the US and I was born here. And
Oh, okay.
I think like many other children of immigrants, I have one foot in two boats. And sometimes they're going in two different directions at the same exact time, right? Culturally, and I've said this on Korean radio shows, it's very lauded in Korean culture to be like demure, especially as a woman. It's like seen as aggressive if you make eye contact. Now that's, on one foot on one boat, but on another boat here in American culture, especially as someone running for office, you have to look people in the eyes when you talk to them,
Okay.
right? You have to do all sorts of things. And it has been an interesting challenge growing up with like, some of these things are the same and some of them are not. But I feel like that could be like a 5-hour long show too, or a sitcom like Kim's Convenience on Netflix.
Well, what piqued your interest in politics?
So a long time ago, my dad was actually president of the JC's chapter, but also the Chamber of Commerce. So as a kid, I just grew up going to all these meetings, but also really being involved in the community, supporting small business owners. By the time, I was in my 30s with a family, I was still volunteering in my town, and I started going to some village board meetings. What really kicked it off was that in one of the village board meetings, they denied one of the restaurants from coming into town.
Mm.
And I heard during a break that one of the trustees was like, I don't know if I'd really eat at that place. But I turned to my friend in the audience and said, I would totally eat there. I was like, no wonder there's only pizza and sandwiches in this town. And then I realized with the yes and no votes, I said to my friend, this is actually just a numbers game. And if you and I were up there and we vote yes, they'd be in this town. And think of how many other businesses would be in this town, right? And so my platform was very pro small business, just like my parents had. And that, I was going to vote yes to filling these empty storefronts. And that was my charge. And I ran for village trustee in 2013. And that's how that all happened.
Well, you were very aggressive and accomplished quite a bit. But I want to start off with your mayoral candidacy. Tell us about how you got involved with that.
Okay. So I had been a trustee for about 3 years at that point, and I recall there was a speech that the mayor of our town gave that made national news. It was that much because people disagreed with it. He had said that there was this was just exactly what happened, right? This is fact. The speech on 4th of July, which usually is very unifying and talking about how great it is to be American and all of us are citizens together. It was about the moral crisis of America. And he had mentioned in there also unwed mothers and other things. And I looked around and was like, is this the speech for 4th of July? And I remember, the days after that going, hey, you've got a lot of friends, you should run for mayor, or you're very connected in town, you should run for mayor. And I was pushing all these other people to run for mayor. And as it came time to turn in the paperwork for the your name to be on the ballot, and nobody was stepping up, you hear that little voice that's like, if it's gonna be, it's gonna be me, right? And so I ended up throwing my hat in the ring to run for mayor. Same platform, pro business. Hey, you know what? I'd also be the first mayor that speaks Spanish, and 40% of our population at that time was Latino and Latinx. So there would be representation. We hit all the fronts there, and I ran that race like I was running for Congress. We even had an ice cream shop, La Michoacana. Everyone knows La Michoacana, and we had one too. And so I actually paid for them to make a red, white, and blue ice cream flavor for us that was called Mundelein United. And we were giving out free scoops of Mundelein United, if you swung by that day. And it was great. It was so much fun. So I don't know if you know Dr. Brooks, but that race came head to head, and I lost it by 5 votes.
5 votes. And
Yeah.
we also, so many people say my one vote don't count.
Oh, it definitely counts. In these local races, like the one coming up April 6th, it's 1-to-1. Your vote is exactly 1-to-1. It's counted. No electoral college. And so people can lose an election by 1 vote.
A female in North Chicago recently lost the primary by 2 votes. As a matter of fact, my alderman, really. 2 votes. A female.
Yeah.
Right.
Every single body matters in these local elections.
Well, tell us about the Lake County Treasurer's Office, the training required for you and also your employees.
Sure. So, my background, as I said, when I ran, and this one, by the way, I ended up winning this race by 21,000. So quite a margin from the last race.
A lot of work involved, though.
Oh, yes. It was not just one town you had to go to. Now you have to go to every town in Lake County, right? Because you represent everyone all over. So we had to go all over, hear what the people want. It's interesting because, anyway, let me go back to my background is in management and marketing, social media. I had this varied background, which worked out really well for this, especially if outreach was going to be a huge point of what we do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we rolled out a social media. We never had a Facebook page here before. We regularly put out a useful newsletter that talks about all sorts of things we do all year long. Before, I was subscribed to the newsletter for this office, and I just got a happy holidays once a year. That's all I got. So now we remind you when the deadlines are, when there's new programs. Mm-hmm. During the pandemic, we talked about how you could get resources for food and things like that. It's more of a public service. As far as training in the office goes for staff members, frequently when we hire, we ask for a background in banking. So
Mhm.
whether they were a bank teller or a branch manager, a majority of the people we hire come with a banking background.
Now, the whole mission of the Lake County Treasurer's Office, the overall mission.
Oh, so the Lake County Treasurer's Office is also known as the Lake County Collector.
Okay.
So when you write your checks out with your property taxes, you have to make it out to Lake County Collector. So this office, the overall mission, has two hats.
Mm-hmm.
One hat is Lake County Collector, and that is literally we are collecting. We are tasked by state statute to collect all the property taxes that every taxing body has asked for, the schools, the park district, right? Libraries. So that's all aggregated at the clerk's office. The assessor's office determines how much is fair for you to pay in like the square footage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then my office will aggregate all that information onto a tax bill and send it to you and say, this is how much you owe based on, all that info. So I literally have to collect that and then disperse it back to the taxing bodies. Now, the second hat that we wear is we are the bank for Lake County. So if you come into my lobby, it looks like a bank. Every department makes their deposit here, and we invest the reserves of the county as well.
How do you determine where the money is invested?
So we are regulated by state statutes in what we can and cannot invest in. One of the things I did notice when I ran was that the margin of what we can invest in has grown because the Illinois state has changed their investment policy, but that we were only investing in things like CDs only. We can also invest in other things as well. If right now, while things are low, we're doing more corporate bonds mixed in there. When the benchmark, usually this office would do about 2 million in interest income. After I moved things around 1 year later, it was 6 million. So yay. And that means more money for projects to do in Lake County, right? And to help the residents. So
yeah, because you're responsible to the Lake County Board. You have to make annual report to them on the office.
Yeah, so we do. We have monthly reports that talk about everything, but we twice a year we'll have presentations we give to the board that talk about year in review, any future budget asks that we have. So far we've kept the budget the same, and that time during the board meeting is when I would show things like this is how much interest we've made, right? We're actually one of, I want to say, 3 departments at Lake County that actually make money. So it was great that we were able to make that money after the first year of changes. At the end of the first year, it was 6 million. This past year, even with a downed economy, it was about 4 million, which is still over the 2 million benchmark, right? So after the changes, I'd say we're doing really well. And this kind of stuff really helps so that the board members didn't have to increase taxes.
Well, tell us about the changes that you have made in the office. One topic I know you love to talk about is that Fiscally Fit 2021 program.
Yes. So if you don't mind, I would actually like to do a share screen. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay.
This is your program, Ralph.
Yeah, it's to my website. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so on our website, if you go to lakecountytreasurer.info.
Okay.
Here, in fact, I'll go straight to lakecountytreasurer.info. So if you go to lakecountytreasurer.info, it takes you to my main page. You can also just Google Lake County, Illinois Treasurer. And then here, well, there's a picture of me.
Okay.
But then right under that, we have our Fiscally Fit in 2021 program right here in the news. So if you click on that, this I'm really proud of putting out there. This is our 2nd year doing it, and I've only been in 2 years. But this sort of financial education is so important. In fact, these classes, I wish that they had them around when I was in high school, right? Or just anybody should know these things. And so we have a class here. Some of the ones that passed were on financial well-being, how not to get scammed, right? Especially now with the unemployment scams happening with the state of Illinois. In fact, we have one coming up here on March 17th on unclaimed property, because part of being fiscally fit is not only knowing how to use your finances, right? How not to get scammed and have money stolen from you, but this is how to search the Illinois State website to see if there's anything owed to you that's out there, right? So that's extra money that's sitting out there that you could earn interest on, or could be in your pocket, and it's just out there. So if you see like the other classes that come afterwards, your borrowing basics, so that, you know, when you actually do need a loan, that you're empowered and you're informed, instead of, you know, at the last second just panicking and not knowing what you need to do. These right here, how to avoid mistakes before buying a home. This is I love this title, Lose the Weight, Managing Your Debt. And you know what? There's no side angle here. This is all as a public service, right? And teaching people just like the basics. Right underneath it right here, the fiscal health, credit report, and score. So many people do not know what power that score holds and how it would prevent you from access to some things, right? And not to others. And so, and here you can bank on it, banking basics. So this seems like, why do you even have this class? But there's actually an underserved population out there that does not have a bank account. I'm actually a commissioner in the Illinois State Bank On program, and we work with local banks to really aim people to use banks more, to save money, to write your, you know, pay your bills out of, rather than using currency exchanges or payday loans. Because with those two, you know, you can't really get ahead. You can't get ahead if you're, you know, using all the money you've got and not putting it somewhere. So the banking basics, as you can see, this is all outreach for the betterment of community. All right, I will stop share and back to you.
Well, that's just fantastic. And you get this information out to the public too, right?
Yeah, so we put it out in our newsletter. It's out on our website. We put it out on social. That being said, I know some community members have shared it with other organizations too. Like there are people who have shared it to Catholic Charities, and I know other people out in the community who have shared it to, like what's the one, Habitat for Humanity. And so people could attend these to get credit in continuing education.
You do a lot of coordinating then with other departments, such as with Lake County Assessor's Office and et cetera.
So this office, yeah, I think historically they've all been islands, but I have made it a point to definitely work together closer than we've ever had with the clerk's office, the assessor's office. Taxing levies are filed in the clerk's office, so I have to be like this, you know, on top of that. Same for the assessor's office upstairs. They handle the exemptions. And so, you know, if there's a bill that's missing a senior exemption and people have to contact them, we have to be together on it like this. So you're right, we have worked together, but we've also worked together in other ways too. I have encouraged not only the clerk's office, but the assessor's office to try and mail things together so that we could save some money on postage. I told them recently about this spring, I'm actually rolling out with e-billing for the first time so people can get their bills by email. And it's 2021 and we still can't do that yet. Why? And so my tech background is like, no, we need to have this. Like if you could pay your ComEd and NICOR and everything by online, like we should be able to have this online as well. So I have offered it to the assessor's office as well, that maybe in the future, not right now, but like sometime in the future, they might consider putting their assessment notices in the same portal as my e-notice for your bill.
I mentioned at the top of the program is that you are a person that Lake County should know, and they are understanding it now. But tell us about your budget. What type of budget you have?
So our budget is one of the smallest in Lake County. I would say rounded up, it's probably 1.4 to like really close to 1.5. 90% of that is staff costs. We have the smallest budget. We have about 15 people working here now, and we have 2 temps, and we support the workforce development program here in Lake County. And so if there are people who are trying to get a job, they contact workforce development. Workforce development is paid by grants. And so if I have workforce development temps here, I'm actually using grants to pay them instead of my own budget. So it helps everybody, right? It helps them to get work experience and it helps us to get some work done. So we've kept to our budget. And there's nothing much more glamorous because I want to say, aside from staff costs, the rest goes to printing, which is why the sooner I can get everyone signed up for e-notices, the better.
Right, right, right. Well, Holly Kim, have you experienced any racism, sexism during your political career?
Ooh, Dr. Brooks, boy, that's a deep one. Yeah, I feel like I need some time to think about it. But you know what? Without like exact incidents, I can already say yes. I can say yes. I've known it happened, and I'll give you an incident from back when I was on the village board.
Mm-hmm.
Back when I was on the village board, there was public commentary, and there was this lady who said, she went on this rant about something she didn't like, and then she talked about me, and then said, it's like saying Holly Kim is a North Korean spy. And I was sitting there like, huh? And then I was like, it's because I'm Korean.
Okay.
I was like, well, if I wasn't Korean, I don't know if you would have said that, right? Like, it's just, okay, fine. There's that. People are always underestimating you when you're a woman. For Women's Month here, let us celebrate solidarity with my sisters. They know what I'm talking about. They always underestimate you because you're a woman. When I ran for this office, my opponent, who was a man, and would say she's inexperienced, right? She has no experience doing this. And that 100%, I will tell you, is a line that they use against women throughout history all the time. My rebuttal was always, well, he didn't have experience either until he got here. So there you go. But yeah.
It wasn't until, 1920, the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, that women were allowed to vote. And that was just recently, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was before I was born, but it was very recent. There's so much that's been only recent, even civil rights laws. I mean, everything is just within the last 100 years.
Right. We've come from a long ways, and it's a long ways to go. Well, we have to talk about your vision then for, let's see, can we say 8 years from now?
8 years from now?
Yeah, I won't say 20 years from now, just 8 years from now.
Oh my gosh.
You've done so much in the 2 years of your 4-year term that what would you like to see, say 8 years from now?
So I think one thing about me, and a lot of people understand this as soon as they meet me, such as yourself, is I'm just a person who likes to get things done, right? I'll just be very determined. Some might say stubborn to get my list of improvements. I like to joke around that I'm just never satisfied. Things can always be better, especially in government. And, with my background of just serving the people from civic groups, I'm just really in it to do the best I can. That being said, everyone always goes, well, what are you going to do next? Like, you're going to be governor, you're going to be, and I have zero idea what God's plans are for me. I think it's interesting that, if you had asked me 4 years ago if I'd ever be Lake County treasurer, like I would be like, what? Like, what? Why would you say that? And yet here I am, right?
Right.
And the plan that I had to be, and I was so determined, was for mayor, and yet that didn't happen either. So now I just throw it all out the window and I go, hey, whatever happens, and wherever I am in 8 years, Dr. Brooks, that's where I'll be, because I don't even know either.
Well, life is a journey, and you must have a purpose, such as the journey we're taking. And we're here for a purpose. God has you here for a purpose.
That's right. And wherever I'm planted, I do the best dang job I can.
Right. Now, what about men versus women in your office? I've been down several times, and all women. I haven't seen any men. The men probably hidden, I guess.
So, I mean, we did hire quite a bit of men since I've been here. Like, we did have Anton working here, as you know, who went off to work for Senator Johnson, so good for him.
Okay.
We had a male cashier manager up front. I don't know, for me, I just hire whoever can do the job best, but I do know that historically this office seemed to hire mostly women. I just go by their resume and if they can do the job and do it well. There's a small part of me that really wants to see the same work ethic that I have. And if they have that, then I hire them. So yeah, I haven't really looked at it otherwise. We
So
also,
maybe salary may be a part of it.
yeah, it might be, government jobs. They do pay a little bit less. I mean, this is honest, right? Like everybody knows this isn't a secret. But where it lacks in some of the public salary might be in the benefits, right?
Mhm.
But we do have more men here than we had before, I would say. But we also have more people of color here than we've ever had before.
Okay. What about community service? Have you been in? Do you have time for community service?
Yeah, you always have to make time. I think I can always squeeze in community service and I bring my family to it. Lately, I've been offering it to the office, going, hey, if you'd like to volunteer with me at Heinz Orchard in Green Oaks, Illinois. At the end of their apple picking season, the owner says to me, Holly, if you want to come with a group of people and pick off, we're gleaning the orchard, right, of the windfall apples, the apples that are perfectly fine, but the wind blew them off. It's the end of the season, whatever apples are left in the trees in the ground, and if they're fine, you could take them and give them to the food pantries. So we need a lot of people to pick them up, and pick them off the trees. And so I bring my kids. I offered it to the staff. I said, this is not forced on you, not required, but if you'd like to bring your families, let's pick apples at the orchard to go donate to the food pantries. And so I make it a point to squeeze it in there. Not only do I give back to the community in all the ways I can, I think it's a good philosophy to have in management style.
Well, I know when I approached you about being on the program, on Zoom program, you didn't hesitate at all by being on, and the Lake County is very fortunate to have you bring the message to us. Now, I wonder, are you available for lectures and workshops too?
Yes, I am. I've never had anyone ask that like that, but I am available. I love speaking with the people and inspiring them. If they need encouragement, especially women, right? People of color, like frequently, I think we don't believe in our own selves. And I would love to go out there and help boost the community in any way I can. I also was the keynote speaker for the YWCA, and I talked a
Wow.
bit about my history and my life, the hardships and struggles that I had to go through, and now I'm here. And that I would, meet up with anyone out there to help mentor, anyone who wants to run for office, like to really just give it back to the community.
Mhm. I know when you walked into the office, I guess there was a surprise among the people there, and you came in making adjustments and changes, but they didn't know your background, you know.
No, it's funny, they didn't really ask, not only the staff, but just people during the race. They didn't ask me about my background. They didn't,
Oh.
I believe it was one of the last forums we went to where I said in the microphone, this is the last forum and the election's like, in a week from now. And no one's
Mhm.
asked me what I know about investing, my
Mm.
background in that. So I'll just tell you.
Right.
I just rolled into it, but it was interesting because they didn't really have those questions for me.
Well, one, yeah, I don't know what you thought about it or not, but adjusting to the COVID-19 in the office, did you have to make any adjustments there?
Yeah, that one's a really difficult one because it happened right around March last year. It's
Yeah.
about it. And we we took inventory of everything we had to do. March is when we start working on our data file. We send out the tax bills. Now, here's the thing.
Mm.
We collect the tax money here for every municipality, the library, the park district, the schools. So if schools needed money to make changes, if we needed funding for your police and fire, like their paychecks, like it was all coming from the money we were collecting. And so I
Mhm.
said to my staff and my deputy, like, we can't close our office. Like we could close the doors to the public because it was like the height of COVID, right? And we didn't want to get anyone sick because that also meant less people processing the checks and all that.
Mhm.
So we made a very difficult yet executive decision to close the front door to the public, but do everything by the Dropbox, right? Dropbox, online, by phone. We'll help you every single way possible. And we put that out there in the newsletter. We even started a 24-hour-a-day ticket program where you can go on our website to ask questions, ask for help.
Mhm.
And so that we can help them in every way possible. Just a tangent on that, because of all the things we went through this year, I actually talked with our merchant processor, like our credit card company for phone and online, and I renegotiated to have $0 e-check. So next year, if you pay by phone or online with your check, right now there's a fee. Starting this collections year, there won't be a fee. It'll be free, absolutely
That-
free to pay by check.
Well, I think we're gonna have to end the program now, but we're gonna have to have a part 2 because you're full of fire, and I know there's a lot of other more information that you want to get out. We use the proclamation of the president, to get you in this time. You have been a very inspirational and informational person that Lake County should know. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking with Holly Kemp, Lake County Treasurer, in her first term of office, but she sounds like she's been there for several terms, bringing us information that we should know. And she is a person that you should know. This has been Community Forum, Lake County Community Forum. My name is Dr. Waddell Brooks Sr., your host.
Great show.
All
Great
right.
show. I'm really impressed with your website and all your other stuff that you put there. Fantastic. Fantastic. So thank you.
You won't mind having it here a second time, huh?
Not at all. Not at all. No, it went by so fast.
Yeah, when you got a lot to say,
And
Oh,
she's the
like
first one,
cramming it in.
and you're the first one to use showing something, a document. You're showing your website in that. So that's the
Screen
first
share.
for our show. So we'll get this one up real quick, Dr. Brooks.
Okay, let's see. Today is Tuesday. It'll be there by Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, we'll have, and I'll send out an email to both of you once it's up there. I'll get it up
there.
right away.
That's great.
Great message.
Yeah, when you have the link, let me know and I can post it on my site too.
Sounds great.
The link will come to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Have a
Okay, take care, everybody.
great day. All right.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.